What is up, everybody? In this video, we're going to talk about online prop firms or combines, whatever you want to call them, online funding. I often get asked about them, and I've really don't talk about them other than the gambling mentality that tends to come with them. So in this video, I'm going to actually interview the founder of the Futures Desk, which is a brand new prop firm, online prop firm, a legitimate online prop firm. And when I say legitimate, what I mean is it's just not funding. You're actually getting coaching. See, the thing is, when it comes to prop firms, there needs to be something proprietary you're getting with it. Coaching, better commission rates, something other than just funding. If it's just funding, then in my opinion, it is not a prop firm. So with these guys, you get coaching, you're going to have access to better commission rates. There are not many players in this space that are doing it at this level. And there's a reason for that, which we talk about in this interview. Now, full disclosure before we get into it, I am not an affiliate. I don't get paid for the sales of these tryouts or anything like that. I happen to know one of the partners on the Futures Desk for many years who's consumed my content, and he reached out to me, and then I met the founder of the Futures Desk who's watched my channel as well. So I talked to him to figure out what they're up to, what's going on. And some of you may or may not be aware, I'm doing my own prop firm as well. However, what I'm doing is on a far smaller scale. I'm working with a handful of people. Like, I'm not willing to work with more than 2 guys at a time. And for me, I give them my full attention. And we're still building out the infrastructure for my firm. And my firm may not even become a firm. It may just be a trading team. And that's it. So I don't have the ability to fund large accounts. And it's a risk I really don't want to take on with my own personal money. It is something I'd rather source outside capital from. So finding a money partner has been something big for me. And our plan was to originally use combines and divvy up the payouts on an account. Obviously, I get my cut, my coaching fee. And the problem is most combines don't like that for whatever reason. I don't fucking understand. They don't want multiple guys on an account or the original account holder not having the account in their name. So our plan was to create a track record and hope we didn't get caught, right? And with a track record, I would have access to outside capital. There's a few money partners out there that are interested, but I need a track record of getting other guys consistent, which is something I've not done. So I asked the Futures Desk, hey, would you be interested in working with me? With zero hesitation, they said yes. And I told them what we were doing, what we were trying to do. I just laid it out. Hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And for me, that was big. That was a real big thing for me. To actually find one of these firms that are willing to bend the rules, if you will, because all these other combines are real rigid, to work with me, the fluidity with it all, that was awesome. There's somebody who we're going to be using ourselves, and that means a lot to me. Only right to give them a platform to share what they're doing, because what they're doing is unique. What they're doing is really interesting. And we talk about gambling in this, how they try to nip it in the ass, because some guys just serial reset their combines. And we talk about the shitty firms and why are they doing what they're doing? What is their intention behind this? And more about their coaching. And I know some of you guys would love to work with me. There's a lot more of you than me. I just don't have the time to work with that many guys. Like I said, 2 at a time. And I'm talking about putting my heart and soul with these guys, working with them for a year or so. And some of you just may not even have a shot working with me because it's fiercely competitive. This just might be another option for you. And here's the interview. This is Josh, the founder of the Futures Desk. You've had history working with prop firms in the past, and you decided to start your own combine. We've talked before. I talked to one of your partners before. I've actually known one of your partners for a while, which is crazy. And you guys decided to do this because, well, I mean, these combines suck because of the predatory stuff that's going on. I mean, Apex screwed a lot of people. However, I do believe that getting funded is a great way for traders to get into this who don't have much money. I think funding can be a beautiful path. So you've been in this before. If you want to share with us your history doing this. You don't have to disclose who you were with, but we know you were in the industry somewhere else.
Couple of years at another place, kind of from the ground up build. You know, it had similar values, but we wanted to take it a step further. So here we are with the Futures Desk. It's really about trying to take it both with technology as well as with restricting gambling further and just kind of go all in on really trying to get traders to perform well. Which is a crazy thing to say that's unique, but unfortunately it is. You know,
I think
there's a lot of
interesting. You're talking about restricting gambling mentality. I think gambling addiction with combines is huge. I'd like to hear more about that.
So the first thing we did was, well, we always have a soft daily loss limit, so which is about 40% of your total drawdown, which is still a little bit high. Like blowing your account in 3 days is still fast, but we do want to give people flexibility to take their trades. With that, it's a soft daily loss, so it doesn't fail you. And then as far as resets go, you can only reset once in a day. So reasonably, you're going to be looking at, you know, the max amount of time between a reset and the worst case scenario would be actually that third day. Since you traded it would be the fourth day you'd have to wait before you could do a reset. Just that alone is a huge departure from what these other companies are doing because, you know, I've seen it. Traders reset 20, 30 times in a row in a day on the extreme side. They just keep going and they can't stop. And I get it because
are like blowing the accounts and they're actually resetting it that many times in a session.
So, yes, it happens. It's not obviously the norm. You know, people just keep resetting until they get the outcome they want. And when these companies make it 1 day to pass, there's no daily loss limit. They're kind of pushing them to do that. If you think of it as a pure return on investment, and you're not thinking, okay, I want to learn how to trade and manage an account that I never blow. If you have a $50 account or something, and they're saying, you know, pass it in 1 day, you could spend $50 on one eval and try to pass it by YOLOing it 10 times in a row. Or you could take the time and learn how to grow an account, which is what we're trying to do, is how do you sustain an account? How do you have a positive profit factor over a longer term? But they're enticing people to pay $50 over and over and over again until they pass, to which they pay another fee. And then most of the rules set in when it comes to consistency. Everything's becoming easier on the front end, make it really easy to lose your account and try over and over and then pay another fee that's usually much larger than the original fee. And then it's much more difficult, not only because of the stress.
Doing that? Why do they do that?
The traders?
No, why does these companies set people up to fucking fail, essentially? Like,
well,
it's like they don't want them to pass. You said it's predatory, or you mentioned it before. It makes no sense because if a trader's really good at this, why not cultivate that?
Because it's a much harder problem to solve. It's a lot easier for that. I don't know their motives, and I can't assume the motive, but what the environment's creating is that it's creating an area where people are trying to, there's a set fee. It's almost like 0-day options or something like that, where it's sort of like there's a very set fee with high risk to reward, and it's become its own derivative of a futures market. I mean, if you really think of it that way, people are trading these props in a way where, like, okay, well, if it takes me X amount of times to pass and get to a first payout, and that total cost of X number of times to pass is lower than my first payout, then I'll just, you know, trade aggressively and most likely poorly. And then they always promise themselves they're going to, well, you know, that's just the test. Once I get to the real account, then things will change. And of course they don't, because if you were practicing in basketball and using these crazy jump shots, and then you got to the real game, you're going to have trouble because you've been practicing the wrong way. And I think that's kind of the environment that's being created across all these prop firms. And if these prop firms cease to exist because of some sort of regulatory or anything like that, these traders aren't going to have a nice time transitioning to an account they can't blow.
You didn't work at one of the predatory firms, did you?
No, we weren't trying to do that at all. We would stop people. We would talk to people when they were struggling, but we didn't have those limits imposed necessarily. It was just more of a
just keep fucking themselves.
Yeah, you open up resets. They can do what they want. We would try our best to help them and get them into the brokerage. It's the same kind of model where, we wanted people to go into the brokerage and do well. I still believe that team values that as well.
What were they not doing that you're like, man, I want more. I want to do this myself. Like, what of that you want to see more of, or whatever? If you understand what I'm saying.
You mean the traders themselves? Like, what are they lacking?
No, well, you came from another firm. There was something there that...
Well, that was more creative differences going forward. Yeah, so there's just some differences there. But as far as the new firm, it was just sort of no holds barred. Every decision we wanted to make taking effect, which was clean the slate, don't look at the other firms, and go feature by feature and decision by decision to where it makes sense for the trader, and funneling it in a way where it's more like a traditional prop, but using the energy of the space, because that's the one thing that's great about the space is it's getting bigger and bigger, especially with the Forex firms folding. A lot of them are moving into futures. As more traders come in, that's a bigger talent pool for us to pull from. So if we can design the perfect system to assess the right traders and get them into live brokerage accounts, I think there's something really big there that no one's really tapping into, because it's a harder thing to do. It's hard to make traders better. That's a much harder thing than to accept that most of them are going to fail and just profit off that.
I feel like also you need a lot of capital to be able to do this, because if you have a overwhelming amount of people who are passing these things and they're getting $50,000 to $100,000 accounts to trade with, this is conspiracy theory, but I feel like that some of these firms just don't have the capital, and then they get themselves in trouble when people start exploiting, and then they start changing the rules or whatever and failing.
Well, the whole 50K thing was the first thing we dropped out the door, like 50K, 100K, because those aren't the account sizes. They're like an estimation based on the margin you would get for maintenance margin based on the contract size, roughly. They're not putting anybody in 50K, 100K accounts, and we don't promise that either. We start you at zero, and then you make a certain amount of profit. We keep margin in a master account that you can access from the sub account for your contracts. The risk allotment you have is based on your drawdown, which the max for us right now is 3,000. So they are small accounts.
Okay. You guys will continue to scale people up if they're performing well?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be silly if we didn't. And we guarantee it too. Previously, I would say, you'll work with us and we'll scale you up as it makes sense. We'll look at your progress, how you're doing with your risk management. There's some other metrics that we use, and if that's looking good, we'll scale you up. But with TFD, it's every $3,000. We'll guarantee that we'll increase your daily loss limit as well as your contract size, at least slightly. But then further along the line, our top traders, for sure, we're going to be giving them much more capital with a negotiated percentage that's more akin to a traditional prop.
Now, you did mention you guys are coaching the people that come through.
So the coaching isn't, here's our strategy, this is what you need to use. We're looking for traders with their own strategies that we can cultivate. So we've got quantitative developers. We have our primary quant. He's an amazing trader as well. We're going to deep dive into your stats and look at what maybe you could improve or what times you shouldn't trade, those simple things. But we're going to encourage you with the system that we built to really aggressively start tagging your setups, tagging your trades, which we make super convenient to do because we have live data hooks to both Rhythmic and then Project X, depending on which platform you want to use. But in real time, as trades are coming in, you can start tagging, so you're not waiting till later to do that kind of work. You can do it while you're trading, which I think is going to make a big impact because really, people are lazy. Everyone's lazy, and it's natural, taking the least resistance path. So getting them to actually start monitoring what they're doing not only writing out notes and things like that, but tagging so we have structured data to report on is going to be huge. And we're building even further, but right now we're already to a point where a lot of the stats that we give you, you can pretty much negate using some third-party reporting platform. And again, it's all real time, and you don't have to set anything up. It's right there. We put it in your face.
See, motherfuckers, you need a tag. Somebody else said it.
Yeah.
So,
oh, tagging's so important. Yep. You have to categorize. And I'm a data guy. I've been doing software development 20-something years. Large projects, large federal, state, government, law enforcement stuff, and Fortune 50 companies. So to me, it's efficiency in people. And what I see in this space and what my partners see in this space, it's there's a lot of struggling people. They need process. They need feedback on their process, and then you got to adjust. And it's not a science. People are going in there trying to play a video game, and that's not going to last. That might last for a day, and you might get excited, like I played my video game well and it worked. But good luck adjusting yourself and growing as a trader, shooting from the hip.
Now, is the coaching process after the funding or during a tryout period, or when do you guys step in and talk to the traders, and what does that process look like? Is it different coaches, the same coach?
We have a few different coaches. I'm one of them, but we have a few coaches. It's the same partners. We've been coaching traders for a while. And again, it's more about your process and your mentality. As long as we have room, if we see someone and they're saying, hey, I failed my account, this sucks, blah, blah, et cetera, we'll be like, we have time. Let's just do 30 minutes right now. The guarantee is, of course, when you get funded, you get the coaching at least bi-weekly. As long as we have time, we'll make time for traders. And that's kind of how all this happened. In the longer term is, I was just trying to help people the best I can. That's what I've always done with computers. And then it turned into with trading. And it's hard to ignore when someone's struggling and you want to just be like, well, let me see what I can do to help. And then eventually that just turned into everything else and a whole business model around it. Yeah. So it's usually the same coach every time. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes it'll be a couple of us sitting in there because we have the time to do it. But we'll go over your trades. We'll go over your mindset. What's your plan in the morning? What are your setups? Do you have a clear playbook? Are you taking those setups? Do you FOMO in? Do you FOMO out? Like, what we're really hoping for is you come in, you do the assessment, and you treat it like real trading, like you should. You build the tags, you build the history, you build the stats. And then when you get into funded and you're coaching with us, now we have a lot more to work with from day one. And we can start fine-tuning you, giving you guidance. We can also cut you out for the day. We can tighten your daily loss. We're trying to do everything we can, and we're trying to make it so we have some skin in the game, so it's worth it to us. We can't just rely on failing traders to sustain increased profits.
Yeah, that's good. I think a lot of traders need accountability and help. And it's interesting because even when you know what you should be doing, a lot of emotions do start to get involved, and having the ability to talk to somebody about this stuff, it's very helpful. I mean, that's important. It's hard to do this by yourself because Dr. Brent Steenbarger said it one time, if you want to be a gold medal Olympian, you need a team. You need a coach, you need all this supporting people. And with some of these other prop firms, you don't get that. And then there's another prop firm where I know some guys that are working in where you supposedly get that, but you're not really getting that. I think a lot of traders at least traders who have a little more experience, start to realize that it's okay to have a little bit bigger splits if they get that team environment. Now, do you guys hook the consistent traders up together? Are you hooking the guys that are passing up together to where they can communicate and potentially?
Yeah, we have the simplicity of a Discord room where the funded traders are popping into. That's obviously we're early on, so this has only been a couple months since our launch, but we absolutely want to segment them into desks and elevate certain traders to run those desks depending on their different trading styles. I think that's going to have to kind of grow organically as we see the traders. It's not going to be like there's X, Y, and Z desks and that you just get funneled into each one. We're not trying to be as big as the Apexes of the world or anything like that. We're just trying to do the best job we can at the problem space. And we think we'll get enough traction that way and we'll sustain just fine. But we really are, if everything we go back to when we're having internal conversations is how does this make the trader better, and how does this get to a goal of being more profitable eventually in a funded account? So if you work that way, I think when it clicks with people, because it's hard when you are in a sea of these prop firms that are popping up every day, to not just put them all in a spreadsheet and say who gives me the most drawdown and who gives me this and who gives me that, when most of those people are getting 100% of their first 10,000 and they get $0 anyway, or they spend so much on the evaluations to get their first payout, they're well net negative. We're looking for, like, how can we make the average traders, make them net positive with our program, including whatever fees they had to pay us.
Are you guys?
So that's really the big metric.
Are you guys going to be doing better commissions than traditional retail can get?
Yeah, so the commissions themselves are obviously controlled by, we're using Dorm as our primary, and we're clearing directly with them. So they have their own commissions that are going through the process, but we have seats being leased on the exchange. So that drops the fees dramatically overall. I think our NQ round trip is $2.30 all in. So, we're doing benefits like that to try to entice people to, if you do the math, if you're taking 20 trades a day or something, it adds up, those fees and those commissions. We have a 75-25 split, which, again, I know other companies are doing 90-10 split, but they have no motivation to actually see you make that.
Other than an account,
Yeah, they give you an account, and they give you also, when you reach a certain threshold in profit, we have a sister company that we move you over to, and that company, we offer, as long as you're a U.S. citizen, a partnership membership in that LLC for trading, so we can issue K1s.
So you have so when somebody's doing real good, you have another level of progression.
Exactly.
What is the K1 for people who are unfamiliar?
Yeah, so when you're an LLC partner, when you get distributions from that company, we're working with a couple of accounting companies up in New York, and they have an SEC attorney on staff, and they ran it all by us. We haven't gotten anybody to that level yet, but essentially we have another company. It's not part of the Futures Desk company. It's a different company. Obviously, we have to keep them segmented very specifically. You basically get hired at that company as a partner of the LLC. So you actually sign on as an LLC partner, getting paid still based on the performance that you do in your account. But when those payments come out, you're typically getting a 1099 as if you're a contractor. That's by far the way most traders are getting paid in this space. But when we pay you with K1, that means again, you have to talk to your accountant. I'm not a tax specialist. You have to see how this affects you. But when you get that partnership, the 60-40 tax rule, as far as short-term and long-term capital gains, affects that final outcome. That passes through to you and your earnings. Not to mention it's distributed differently with some other things. All in all, it's similar. If you get to that level, you're going to be getting. It's going to be much more like you're trading your own account. I guess that's the point to make. This similar tax benefits to trading your own futures accounts.
So you're passing people on for basically tax benefits, and then there's some partnership in the LLC.
It's limited, so you're limited for that benefit.
Okay.
You're working with us though as a partner, which gives you. It's for the tax benefits for sure.
Okay, so that's what. Is there anything else at that level you're getting, or just the tax benefits?
Not guaranteed, but that's going to be the group of people that are going to be our better traders that we're going to want to actually give more risk allotment to. It might end up being a 50-50 split at that point if we give you that extra risk, but we could be giving you much more risk capital where we're putting more risk on the table, not just contract size.
Your assessment's interesting, just to pivot here. It's totally customizable. I've seen your intro video on the platform and what it looks like. I've not seen anything like this before. So people get to sort of pick their risk, and it obviously adjusts how much you're paying to do this. I'd be interested to speak why you guys chose to do this.
There's a couple things we have to watch out for to make sure the assessment covers enough. And one of those things is you don't have just some huge day to pass your test. Because then, again, people get into that ROI of, okay, let me just pass it really quick and flip the rest of the day so I have the minimum days quota met. But that doesn't really...
Your minimum day? Or does it...
It depends, and you can lower your price by increasing it. But it goes all the way down to 5, and then it goes up to 12, and that'll lower the cost quite a bit.
Okay.
So we're really trying to push people into doing longer trading And how we do that, so a lot of companies have a consistency rule, is what they call it, and we might end up calling it something related to consistency. We might change that because it is an education thing we got to do all the time in support chat. It's not that we want you to make the same amount every day necessarily. It's that we need to make sure that you don't just make one of these big trades during your test on a news day, you know what I mean, and just write it into a pass. That doesn't really prove anything in a test. So when you're thinking about structuring it, some of these other companies go, your biggest day can only be X% of your goal. And if that biggest day is bigger than that percentage of the goal, then they readjust the target. So that biggest day is still, 30% of the goal. If you do the math, and I don't want to go too far in the math because people will fall asleep, but if you do the math on like 30%, if you go over your goal, if you go over that day, a single day, and it's more than 30%, let's say you go over by $500, you're probably increasing your target by another $1,800 or something like that.
That sucks, dude. So what do you guys
do? So what we do, and again, it's some people still are annoyed by it because it is what it is, but we found it to be more fair, is if you go over a day, so we take the total of your profit call. So let's say it's $10,000, which we don't have anything that high, but let's just say for the math, $10,000, and you choose 10 days. So if you go over $1,000 in a day, we do the math, we divide by 10. And if you go over $1,000 in a day, let's say you go over 500, then we just increase your target by 500. So we're essentially neutralizing what you did to go over in that day.
It only increases by the amount that you went over,
right?
Correct.
So you can make $100,000 in the first day, and you're still not any further away from your target. We're just increasing it by them. And really, if you use our end of day drawdown, which keeps increasing as the day closes, which is again less expensive. We have no intraday unrealized trailing. That's crazy. We were going to do static only, but then people were like, well, I'll pay. Can I pay less if I get an EOD? The way I trade, it's totally fine. And we're like, okay. So we added the EOD, but the whole thing is like our EOD stops trailing at 0. So really, that combined with our soft daily loss, if you let's say you did make that crazy $100,000 some way, I don't know how.
What do you mean the EOD ends at 0? What is
so the end of day trailing drawdown?
Okay.
It doesn't keep increasing if you made it to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah, I think Apex did that bullshit. I never traded anything like that, but
I don't remember what they're doing at this point, but at 0, like when that bottom minimum amount hits 0 balance, which was your starting balance in the account in the first place, it doesn't keep increasing.
Okay.
So the point is, like, if you keep making over that $1,000 in a day, let's say, you're going to essentially build a safer buffer to try to hold your account to hit that target. So you're not going to, it's just another reason you won't blow your account. So it does neutralize your profits, but it's slightly still in favor of the trader.
How's that neutralize
because
it gives
profit? Well, I'm saying, like, if you go over the $1,000, we only increase your profit target by the amount you went over in a day. So if you made 1,500,
if you go over, if you
go over,
then it doesn't go up.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't go up, but it's kind of frustrating because it's trying to find a solution for this is hard, and this is the best we could come up with that seemed fair.
Well, like
again,
you said, people need to pass a test, man, and if like somebody does it in one day, that doesn't mean shit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like
and then they start trying to game the system.
Yep, and that fucks you guys. Because then you
fucks everyone,
and then I mean it makes sense. You got to prove that you can do this instead of trying to gamble and eat your way across the board. So people can adjust, which is really interesting. Why did you guys choose to have people? Because there's these sliders. I encourage you guys to just take a look at it. But there's these sliders where you can adjust your risk and I think contracts and all that, and it does dictate the actual what you're going to pay monthly. But why'd you guys elect to do that? I mean, it's probably a fucking logical answer to that. I understand why you did it, but tell us why you did it.
Well, I think it comes down to everyone wants something different, and we didn't want to build the template that we think that they want and keep adjusting the templates and trying to this company has a 50K account. Like, that's just noise to us. And we wanted to let people just pick. And honestly, that's data coming into us. We can see, if people pick better risk scenarios where their contract size to their drawdown is better, so they're having like smaller size with a larger drawdown, and those traders are succeeding more, that's good data for us, where we can start predicting traders maybe moving into a brokerage account earlier or anything like that. But the real base reason is just, why come up with predetermined plans and come up with new plans and try to act like that's the big deal? Hey, what are we doing for traders? We have a new plan. It's like, it's exhausting, and we didn't want to be a part of it really. So we just opened it up for everyone to decide what they wanted, and came up with some basic math to do that, to figure out the price.
And it allows people who scalp to set it up so they can scalp, and people who need a hold, they can set it up to where they can actually let the trades breathe. I think that's the problem with some of these other combines or props is some of them are just not friendly to certain styles of trading.
Yeah, and bonds traders, which bond traders have gotten a lot of flack lately, and we have, we support them. I don't know if you've noticed that, but a lot of companies just went on a blanket ban on bonds from a lot of companies. You can't trade bonds.
Why? What the fuck happened?
I think there's like a one tick exploit everyone's assuming, but none of the companies have come out that have banned it and been like, here's the clear reason, here's the exploit, this is why we had to ban it. And instead of trying to be constructive about it, they just kicked them out. And I think that's ridiculous. And honestly, maybe I'm overreaching here, but to me, it's like maybe some of the bond traders trade more profitably than the others, and that doesn't work for a lot of companies' bottom line. So maybe that's the case. We welcome the bond traders, and they usually need more contract size because they're not looking for 10-point moves. They're often looking for just a few ticks.
Oh yeah, I traded 10 years when I first started, and 2,500 on the spread. I just why do these companies have zero risk when don't have intentions of traders moving on, helping them? Their model is failure. Is that a zero risk business for a lot of these guys?
It's pretty low risk. There was a firm that started up recently that very famously just completely collapsed, and the guy running it was not a good dude, it seems. They gave too much into it.
Fast track trading. Was that the one? Sorry.
All right.
I have.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about them. I don't fucking work with them.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, it's fine. I just don't like to get involved with that stuff like that. But yeah, yes, I think they saw some models and they had some ideas, and the payouts caught up to them because they're paying out of pocket. And it just seems ridiculous to me that you'd want to keep traders in sim unless you weren't trying to cultivate them. See, I think your audience might be slightly different because, you have some pretty long videos that go into real depth on trading. And traders, there's a huge group of traders, which understandably, people are coming into this because they want to make money, they want to make extra money. They're not doing it that's in the end of the day why everyone's in the markets. Don't get me wrong. But they don't have the same passion that you do and probably your audience does for the market. And they're just cycling evals looking for some gimmick to make some sort of payout. It doesn't matter how. And that's what most of the space is. It's not, how do I become a better trader and really understand how to have an account of my own. They might think that they're going in that direction because they got a couple payouts, but for the number of assessments and resets that they're doing, they're not even close. If you calculated the money they put into assessments and the money that they're taking out of payouts, they might be net positive, some of them, because they just kept playing the carnival game. But if you calculate the amount of virtual drawdown they've lost to make a certain amount of profits, it wouldn't work.
I think the gambling addiction in this industry is a lot worse than people realize, and I don't think anybody's really talking about it. And then these fucking combines, they hey, just reset now, we'll give you a discount. It's like going to Vegas and they're like, hey, oh, you're winning here, here's a free night here, here's some drinks, keep playing the game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think that there's a mental illness, because gambling addiction is a mental illness, and I think these combines cultivate that, and people don't realize it. I don't think people realize they're going on these benders, because I've known some people who are just serial combine guys.
I think there's a huge problem with people trading, but they're not trading. They're gambling, and it's a really good cover to say that you're a trader. And I think they believe it themselves a lot of times, of course. But I think they're caught in a loop. They're just resetting. They really want the money. They're watching all these crazy YouTubers make ridiculous money with 20 accounts, and they're doing this stuff, and they're not admitting what they're actually doing. And they're telling all their friends, their family, their everything that no, I'm a trader. No, it's not gambling. And it's like, well, it's not gambling for everybody, but what you're doing it does have that pattern. And these companies, I don't think they're hurting them on purpose. And I think a lot of the people running companies like that, I think they go into it like we're giving traders an opportunity, and we're putting money out there, and we'll pay them for doing it. So I think a lot of them are like that. But when it comes, I think once they launch and they're running one of these companies, they realize how bad the traders are and just how aggressively stupid they're being about their trading. And that's a big problem, especially when you're growing overnight with thousands and thousands and thousands of traders instantly, and you don't know what to do with them, and they're all losing. You're like, well, it's America. They can do whatever they want. And they kind of just leave it as that. And they showcase the 5 traders that are doing well, and they're really not investing any time into improving traders, because if all the traders passed, like you said, they wouldn't do well. That would actually be really bad for these companies if too many traders are doing well.
Also, the content out there doesn't talk about the reality of what this is, because I think it's one of the dumbest.
I'm trying to keep a straight face as your cat. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping he wouldn't knock the camera over. But and that's what makes the show great, I guess. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh my god.
We'll cut all this out.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, Tarukin, you fucker.
I love that name.
Oh yeah, the content fucking doesn't show the reality of what this really is, man. Like the struggle, I mean, you got to put in work, dude. It's going to take years. It's just, there's no overnight success. I don't see people doing it in a year. I don't see people doing it in 2 years. I've talked to thousands of traders. I still talk to traders. I just do not see overnight success. Dude, these guys, you're looking at 4-7 years at times.
Yeah.
And then I think you're just wasting time if you are not reviewing and tagging your trades. Because you did talk about tagging, and I think a trade not tagged, that's a waste of potential data. Because if you're putting like 5 tags on that trade, that's 5 different data points, and that can complement, other trades. But going back to the gambling thing, you did mention like kind of cutting people off. I mean, what if you got a guy that just keeps coming back? I mean,
if he's not going to work with us, if he's not going to work with us and he's doing that, he's just obsessively trying to get as much resets as, even though we only let you reset every 4 days, again, once. And if you take a trade in a day, we don't let you trade that day. You still have to wait until the trading day is over, so you have some time to think about it, if that's the right next step. If someone's coming back and they're struggling, it's like, do you want us to just block you? That's the approach we take. We haven't gotten there, and I think just the way we're presenting the company, the way we're taking care of the traders, we're not attracting the same group of people, which helps a lot too. That might go to a company and try to just get 20 accounts and max them out. We're trying to position ourselves in a way where it's like, well, no, you don't go there to do that. There's like 40 other companies you can go act like a jerk at. So if you're ready to give that up and move forward, that's where we're hoping. We're just, we're over there ready to do that. But yeah, we'll cut you off.
It really seems like you do legitimately care about doing this the legit way, being professional. I mean, that's what your goal is, like professional prop firm, not some bullshit funding, correct?
Right. I don't think anyone in the space is trying to do it in the range of scale that we're doing it. I know, like Apteros, I've seen them from afar, and I even tried to get in there years ago, but they're legitimate. I think our tech is sort of another level, and the net we're casting is a lot bigger, where we can use that tech to try to push traders farther at a bigger scale. And that's where I'm excited, is between the tech and the hands-on coaching, can we use all this energy from prop firms and actually produce the thing that everyone acts like they're doing? It's really hard to listen to some prop firms talk about, we're here for the traders. We want to see you trade well. That's why we have this rule. And it's like, you're not setting up anybody in real accounts. Like, not until recently. And I've always had my feet hard in the sand about that. Like, we need to get these traders, they pass a test. It's like, we got to get them into a live brokerage account as quickly as possible. One, I don't want to pay out of pocket for your payouts for a long time. Like, at all, if at all, what are we here doing if we're not trying to make money off the market together? Like, it's crazy that that's quote unquote revolutionary in the space, but unfortunately it is. Like, I mean, the number of people trading in sim accounts and doing this game right now to get simulated payouts where the company's not benefiting from traders doing well is just so out of proportion.
Yeah, it's almost like a loophole CFD, which is illegal here. What is your, like, Josh's personal, like, reason? Like, why is it that you want to be legit? Why are you not trying to, like, what is it inside of you where you want to be legit and you're not just trying to get a big payday? Because that seems like it could be easy.
Yeah, it would be easy. I think so I build software. I solve problems. That's been my job for literally since my senior year of high school, which was in late '99. I started building software, solving problems. I was involved with counterterrorism stuff. I was involved with all sorts of things to help people. Like, it was always about helping people. My dad's a doctor. I have lots of doctors in my family. None of them are like the business style doctor looking to profit off of being a doctor. They literally love helping people. Like, that's what the reward always was. And even my mom was a therapist. So that's me. All I think about is solving problems. So the idea of creating problems for traders and not being like, someone's coming to me struggling and trying to find a solution for them, that just doesn't compute for me. I can't help it. And then my primary partner, he was a major crimes detective out in California for 12 years, and same boat. He was going out there and trying to protect the community. I mean, he had a passion for trying to help people and see justice, of course. But I think just between the two of us, we're just rooted the same way, where we're both just, we're not thinking, how do we make people fail at all? We're just trying to think, how do we can have a nice business here. We can help traders, and, the goal of making the great traders better and using all the tech and building all the cool shit we want when we're trading it all came together.
You've traded, is it Raj that's the detective?
No, Brian.
Okay, a different partner. I'm like, damn, Raj? All right, because I know he's helped you. Is he a coach?
Yeah, Raj is a coach.
Okay, cool. Raj has been coming in and out of my trading room for many years, a long time. Back when I traded in a closet, actually. That's going to be my book. Once I fucking hit a level of my trading, it's going to be called Coming Out of the Closet, because I traded in a closet. But anyways, you trade yourself, right? How long have you been trading?
I wish I could be trading myself now, but I think that's I've been trading, I guess, 4 or 5 years. And I mean, part of being a proprietary trading firm, obviously, is trying to find the traders that are better than me. I'm not going to say I'm the best trader. I have a lot of insights. I understand all the technicals on the chart. I can come up with really good plans. I'm still practicing myself, I'm still trying to get better myself, and I always surround myself with the best traders. So we do have those external resources, like my quant. He's an amazing trader. He's actually doing a challenge right now. And it's going to pick back up on our YouTube, but he's starting with, it's a live account, of course. I think it's a $60,000 starting balance. He's only trading oil. He's starting with 1 CL contract, and he's going to keep adding a contract every day he has a green day. And if he has 2 red days, which is extremely rare for him anyway, he'll reduce a contract. And his goal is to at least get to 100 contracts. And I think right now he's at 12, and we're going to get all of his brokerage statements fully third-party audited, just so everyone knows it's not a scam or something. And he just talks about his trades all day, and it's not exciting. He's streaming, he's live streaming, he's talking about what he's doing. He's just very conservative. He's got really good risk control, and he knows what he's doing. He's managing 5 or 10 other people's accounts as a business. He's been doing that for a long time.
So is he coaching your business, or how does he sort of fit?
Yeah, so he also helps coach, and he helps us run numbers. Where we can take your strategy, and between him and myself, code up some of the basics of that strategy or whatever you're looking at, and give you data on it. So give you a couple of years of like, hey, look, we noticed you'd like to take this trade in this time, but we ran these numbers, and maybe this strategy would make more sense under XYZ condition. And so we don't get, obviously you don't want to force the data into the data set. That's with any statistics, but we can definitely use that kind of information to improve your strategy.
So that's interesting. That's kind of a more in-depth look into your coaching, where you guys are running numbers. You have a quant running numbers for the guys that are on the desk.
Yeah. The reporting dashboard that we're giving the traders, and that shows up in real time, we're so focused on improving that. So both the trader without our help or without our hands-on can see all that information. And we're adding a lot of stuff to that. So I think we're gonna pretty quickly, I think, pass up a lot of these journaling companies that just only do journaling, in the sense of like the stats you want to get out of it, and especially in real time and not having to configure anything. We have no plans on actually flipping that into its own business, but you never know. With that information, the more we can put into that, the more feedback we can get. But of course, there's certain things, like I mentioned, where you have a specific strategy you're talking about, that just takes human intervention. But yeah, we have him. We have a lot of resources. You're not just going to have a coaching session with a guy that's not invested in what you're doing, and he's not going to catch up with you. It's definitely like you're working with us, and we're going over in detail. What's your day like? What's your plan like? Did you write it out? A lot of it's babysitting in a way, half of it's stats and half of it's babysitting. And I think a lot of traders need it. And that's partially what coaching is.
What do you think a lot of these outside journals are getting wrong? Because I've used quite a few of them. What do you think?
They're pretty good. The funniest thing is, I think the base thing that they're not getting wrong, a lot of them they still manually require you to do stuff every day. And that's a hurdle to begin with. I think all the pieces are there across all of them, but they're not all combined into the perfect solution. And they putting more emphasis on the tagging, how you manage the tags, and how the tags change over time is important. But you have to also, that works great on paper, but how do you get people to do it? I think that's undervalued.
Because I know you guys have like a built-in journal. The trader still has to do like manually tagging. Obviously, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, we're not doing anything crazy like that right now. We're not determining like how you felt based on your webcam and tagging it for you.
Yeah. So the trader still has to tag, and the platform's integrated obviously to this journal, which I think is interesting because people need to do it. What are you guys doing to sort of bridge the gap? Are you guys bridging the gap right now that the other journals aren't doing with your trading software?
I think we're on our way. It's similar to a lot of the trading software. Again, the biggest part I think is the integration and the fact that it's put in front of your face.
Yeah.
So if you look at our platform, on the side, you see your trades as they're executing in real time, usually sub-second, whether you're on Rhythmic or our TFDX platform, which is hooked up to Project X. We have real-time data going to our database. So we're storing the trades in real time and showing it to you. We're relaying that to the screen. So trades are popping up, and you have a really easy way. Oh, look, a trade popped up. Oh, cool, I can select a setup. Oh, I don't have any setups yet? Let me define my setups. And then while you're defining a setup, let me put in my preconditions to take this trade. Okay, well, I want to tag because I was feeling overwhelmed. So look, maybe I'll make an overwhelmed tag or whatever it is. And it leads you into that process. And then above that, we've added recently, just a week or so ago, the concept of trade ideas, which I don't think anyone does. And I think it's sort of natural for the fact that we have real-time data coming in. With those setups, before you take the trade now, you can basically choose one of the setups that you see forming. So let's say you're planning the day, and you want to say, okay, when the NQ gets to this area, this is one of my levels, I'm going to short. You can put that in ahead of time now. And when you execute the trade, you can associate that trade idea with the execution. So you can do basically half the work up front.
What do you mean? If you could rephrase.
So you can start typing notes inside on the trade. You can put tags because when you journal after the fact, to me, the further you are after the trade takes place, the less accurate it is and the less likely you're going to do it. So when do you really start taking notes and start planning your trades? Again, I think your style is a lot more, you do more scalps, right? You're sort of just, I don't really know your trading style that well.
Yeah.
So that might be a little different. You're going to probably lean more into the analytics and just basic tagging. I don't know if how you would do it. I'd have to see.
Yeah,
but
it's pure tagging. But what you're saying is guys that are not like scalpers, they have time to think and marinate on it all. They're able to just immediately start writing on it.
Yeah, but even if you had time to think, but you were waiting for an area, you could still put a trade idea in that says, I'm going to be shorting the NQ all day if it hits 5,000. Let's just, or not 5,000. Hopefully it doesn't hit 5,000, but you get my point. Like if it gets to a certain level, and then you could put that in as a trade idea, and it's at the top of your list. And then as you execute, executions are coming in, and you can say, apply that trade idea to that. So you can start doing a little bit of ahead work.
So you're
does that make sense?
Planning ahead, and there's like a list, like a to-do list almost.
Yeah. Well, what are you writing on in the beginning of the day? We want you to be writing it in our platform. We don't want to make you go to Notepad or go somewhere else to keep the like planning notes for the day. Or if you did things, like we have daily goals. So put the daily goals in our system and track it, like rate how well you're doing your daily goals.
And that
we
that
want
helps
it to be
you
all
guys
encompassing.
As coaches too. That helps
everyone.
That's why you. Okay.
Yeah. And then, but the big thing is there's, the people that are taking the larger intraday trades, they can go in there and say, okay, I see 3 setups. I see, I'm going to look for some sort of opportunity when it gets to this level because of all my planning. I'll put a screenshot, put it in there. And I'll call this trade idea, shorts at this level, and then have maybe another one for longs at this level or something like that. And then as it's setting up, if you set up your strategy right, you can put in there, I want to see high relative volume. I want to see some behavior on the footprint or whatever you're looking at. Those are my preconditions to take this trade. You can start checking those off before the trade gets executed, right? And then when you execute the trade, it pops up automatically in real time. And now you can take that trade idea that you've been doing the work on, it's sort of like your scratch pad, and apply it to the execution. So now you've categorized the trade with all that information, and then you can move further and finish whatever you need to do to tag that trade, whatever happens after the execution. So it's as close as possible to when you're thinking about it, whether it's pre-trade or after trade or during trade. So I think that as a whole, it's like you could look at it on a feature list and say they have this trade ideas thing, but when you look at it as a whole, we're trying to think of the process from the back to the front, all the way from planning in the morning to execution to when you're done trading and you're reviewing to coaches coming in, being able to see that as well.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Now, to pivot a bit, you didn't talk about it. I know that in the beginning, you guys were limiting people coming in. Is it still sort of like a limited type of deal where you throttle how many people are able to do this?
We got a good cadence in the beginning for how many people were coming in, and we're completely comfortable with the current growth. We will shut off the signups if too many people start signing up, but we don't have a hard limit right now.
Why would you need to shut it off? Why?
Just to make sure we have the staff to support, the staff to coach, just anything. We just don't want to have any subpar experience. If we're scaling this, we know how to scale this. Especially the technical portion of it. We just don't want to feel like we're not answering support fast enough with very qualified people to answer your questions, not just some random people we hire from a third-party service or something like that. We want to know our support staff and really feel like, when you get to a support staff, it's not just someone that's got to reach out to someone else on the team all the time. That, again, plus the coaching, that's the experience we want, and we want everyone to remember us for that.
Now, there's no guarantees in anything, but I think a lot of people have been burned lately that they just have such a bad taste in their mouths with Apex, Fast Track, shit like that. I mean, how do people know they're not going to get fucked, man? I mean, I think in the end, you're just going to have to take a risk on these things because, I mean, if you're trying to get access to capital.
You have to get people into live accounts. Like, I don't even love the word trust by itself just because it's just someone saying the word trust. It's the structure and looking at the actions of what we're doing. We are limiting resets. We're putting you to a live. I think we're the quickest company that you can get. I think in 6 days would be the minimum we can get you into a live brokerage account with capital. But we're not suggesting that. We have a stop loss on how much a single account will cost us, right? Our risk on a trader is whatever the max we're willing to put into an account, which right now is $3,000. So if you're coming in and you're blowing it over and over, we're not just going to let you do that. We're going to be like, hey, you either work with us and we try to make you better, or go somewhere else. But we're not letting people cycle. We're not letting people reset. And then all your profits that you're making are backed by live capital. So yes, we have to pay you as a contractor for that, and we have to manage those funds to make sure it gets to you. That's really the risky part. When you're talking about some of these other companies, they were paying out of pocket, or they are paying out of pocket for all the funds. So they're not, they could be happy personally that you're getting big payouts to see a good trader get payouts, but it does not work well for the business model if someone makes $100,000, other than the same way someone winning a jackpot in Vegas helps because it's advertisement.
Yeah, it's like the guy that counts the cards. The casinos don't.
Yeah, they don't. No, for sure. But we're looking for card counters because we're not the casino. We're the ones trying to be the counting card club.
So it's straight to live after your first evaluation?
Yeah, we don't. Well, no. So there's the caveat there. So there's two things can happen when you pass. One is we put you straight to live if we have enough data on you during the assessment. So people that are picking 5-day assessments and are getting really aggressive to pass, and we're probably not going to put you to live, but it shouldn't make much of a difference to the trader. We have a sim brokerage account that we put you in that you cannot take a payout from, and once you build up that $3,000 max, again, you might have a $1,500 max based on your drawdown. Then we move you to the brokerage, because there is a hiccup period when they pass that a lot of traders pass and then they fail immediately, right? They get aggressive, they don't listen, and we have to mitigate that some way. And it's either making the test harder for everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got to build.
But you're not allowed to take a payout.
Okay, is that the shorter term evaluations or all of them?
Most people will go into the sim brokerage account. The people that we see that are exceptionally doing well, and maybe they traded it 15, 20 days, we might elevate them directly to a brokerage account. Because realistically, we're putting the money up into the brokerage account that is completely earmarked for them at that point. They either can use it for risk or they can use it for payout. But if they go through the sim brokerage route, that's how that money works. They're either going to lose it, win off it, or take payouts from it. The other way is if we can predict the good traders during the assessment and move them into a live brokerage account immediately, then they're locking in their risk. So they're taking away that risk from us. So the better we can get at predicting traders' success coming out of the assessment, the more money we can save.
What do you mean they're locking in the risk?
So once you pass the assessment, you start at zero balance again in your funded account, right? It might be a simulated brokerage.
This is not sim broker. This is like...
Either way, we start you at zero balance after you pass. Okay. You might be a sim brokerage account, right, which is more paper trading, or you might go directly into the brokerage account. When you reach your drawdown amount, your minimum balance becomes zero, and it's fixed there forever.
So that $3,000.
So yeah, like $3,000. So if does that make sense?
A little bit. So you're trying to make the $3,000 on the sim brokerage account and the live account, correct?
So we move you into the sim brokerage account, you make $3,000, and then we start you in the brokerage with $3,000.
Oh, okay.
So we basically move virtual profits and turn them into the live balance.
I got you.
And we only let you do that max $3,000, and you can't take payouts in between, because we don't want to get in the boat of you take payouts from a simulated environment. We want to be committed to getting you to the brokerage. Payouts get enabled.
And that's $3,000 you guys are essentially risking.
Yeah. But it's more than risk, because once we put $3,000 in there, that's your money to lose or withdraw from. So we've already invested the $3,000. Now we're hoping to get you to $10,000, $20,000 in payouts, because we'll start making our risk money back, or not our risk money, but our our buffer money back. And then again, the better we can get at predicting traders passing when they give us more time, which is helpful for us because we can reduce the cost. If you're committed to giving us more time, we'll reduce the cost on the test. And if we can use that time to assess that, look, this guy, he manages risk, he's got a good profit factor, like this guy should go direct to the brokerage. We shouldn't have him go in a sim, make $3,000, and then we take $3,000 out of pocket and put it in an account. We'll start him at zero, still give him the $3,000 of drawdown, right? But we think he's good enough to lock that in himself.
Okay.
So the more people we can predict, the better we can get at predicting that coming out of the assessment. It's better for us.
So short term, the 6 days or whatever, it's a little bit longer because you've got to build that $3,000 up. Well,
that's so the test is the 6 days. Once you pass, there's no more, that the whole day requirement goes out the door. Technically, you could pass, make $3,000 your first day, and we put you in a brokerage account with $3,000. The 6 days would be your assessment. We need you at least spend 6 days in an assessment before we move you forward. And at that point, no caps.
Okay. And again, just to clear it up so I understand, if you do the longer period, you'll just put them straight into a live account.
Not guaranteed, but yeah, if they never hit their soft daily loss limit, they show good risk management, they're not overly risking per trade, those kinds of things. Obviously, we have more stats, MAE, MFE, those kinds of things that we're looking at. Generally speaking, the traders that put more time in and trade well during that time, we're going to make those decisions to put them into a live brokerage account immediately, which really, based on the way we structured it, whether you go into a live brokerage account immediately or whether you go into a sim brokerage account, are kind of negligible other than the time it takes to set up.
What exactly is a soft?
If you hit your daily loss limit, it doesn't fail your test.
Okay.
It doesn't fail your live account. It doesn't fail your test.
It's like a loss limit before the loss limit, correct?
Yeah, before the larger drawdown, which is either end of day or static. And then we have the loss limit that's intraday. So don't lose more than 40%, I think, is the math of whatever you picked for your drawdown in a single day. But if you do, you just have to stop and wait for the next day.
Do you guys got something in place to prevent people from accidentally double clicking and trading more size?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it's all contract / margin limits. It just prevents you. It doesn't fail you.
Because I know the Apteros Tryout does it, which is interesting, and I heard you kind of set it up through Rhythmic, but none of these other combines do that. And if you accidentally misclick, you're fucked.
We don't do that at all. It just blocks you.
Okay.
They can do it, so if they're not doing it, you can make your own decisions.
All right. Well, that was interesting. Is there anything else you'd like to share about what you guys are doing? You guys are live right now. Anything you want to share? YouTube, socials, or anything about what you guys are?
I don't think so. I think we covered most of it. So if you want to buy the special Fat Cat 30 reset pack for $2.99, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No reset packs. Yeah, just come on by and I'd say join our Discord and get to know us, get to know the people who are in there, and just see how we talk to people and what we're doing. And if not, just trade better and reconsider what you're doing in the prop space, because it might not be making you a better trader.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, I'm not an affiliate. Part of why I've decided to extend the invitation to sort of do this interview is some of you guys know I'm kind of doing my own thing, a lot smaller, and I don't plan on getting this big, but we need capital, and we plan on doing it through combines and just kind of doing it where we were hoping we didn't get caught. And, I talked to Josh. I'm like, hey, man, this is what we're trying to do. We need capital. And I'm only working with a handful of traders. So he's like, yeah, man, that sounds great. And the fact that you heard me out and you liked what I did, you had no problems with me kind of looking for a home, a place to get capital. Dude, I appreciate the shit out of that, man. I really do.
Man.
And
I think you're doing the same thing we are. I think you're trying to help people. You're not so concerned in making as much money as possible at all times. You see people struggling, and you've got the same kind of attitude we do. So I appreciate that. So if my company can be a conduit to improve your traders, we'll help you out.
Yeah, I mean, I have an obsession with like, why are these traders failing? Like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm starting to see why. And because there's all these fucking papers and stuff that, oh, statistically 97% traders fail, but that's not good enough, man. There's something else deeper down. There's more. You're a data guy. There's something else going on at a deeper level to where you can say this is exactly why people are failing.
It's individual too. I wish I had a blanket reason,
Yeah.
but it comes down to a lot of endorphin rush. It's funny that for the amount of traders you find that they need that rush, they need to feel like instant money. They want to reduce, usually it's fear, of course, in one way or the other, but they want to feel that, wow, I just traded 20 in Q contracts times 20 accounts and I made X amount of money in 20 seconds. I can just do this every day. And then there's the other camp on the other extreme that are afraid to push the button because they have such that's their relationship with money. They are not comfortable with risk at all. And they don't think about the upside. All they're worried about is risk. And, those people are usually a little bit more manageable, but it's individualized. It's a whole host of things. And then you got the damn market to deal with, and that thing's trying to screw you too. It's not easy,
man.
It's a lot.
One thing I didn't touch on, I'd like to touch on, because you talked about your trading and stuff. I think it's a fallacy, and I've talked to my audience about this. It's a fallacy to think that you need coaching or help from traders who are just like these godlike traders. Like, you can get support and help from guys that have talent in other areas. It doesn't necessarily need to be a really good trader. I mean, Dr. Brent Steenbarger, for instance, probably not the greatest trader ever, but a damn good trading psychologist. I think when it comes to like coaching and getting help, just having guys who understand what the hell this is, and they have talents in other areas. Like, obviously you have talents in areas, and you're building out a platform, and you're doing something that, quite frankly, I think there's a big hole in this industry. There's not enough. It's more about just, fuck the traders. We're going to make money. It's not about helping the guys. And a lot of these legitimate prop firms people want to get on, we don't ever hear about them, and it's really hard to get into those. And I see them becoming more and more digital like this. And I think what you're doing is pioneering something. You're just taking it to the next level. And that's what I think these original combines should have been, but they just didn't. I think they just know they can make all this money from not doing shit. But there's something about doing it the right way. And I think when you do it the right way, over the long game, the long run, you're going to be crushing it a lot better, man. When you got a bunch of 7-figure traders and then you guys become the algo, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was really nice. That's what we're going for. And again, we're not successful only if we're the biggest in the game or the biggest hedge fund or the biggest whatever that this turns into. If I feel like people can come to us and they have the best chance for success and they're actually doing well, and it's not just a bunch of people pretending that they're doing well and showing a payout after they've lost their house, that's super rewarding. If we can be comfortable and be in that scenario, that's rewarding. And if we just keep focusing on that, I think it's just everything falls into place because we have all the tools necessary. We have all the pieces, and it's exciting.
Right on. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll link your YouTube and your website and all that. And I'll see you later, man.
All right, thanks. See you.